Hello, hello. I'm Cosmic Jack. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Here to talk to you all about the astrology for December. November was kind of a doozy. Let's just be real. I don't even know where the time went. It was a very internal month. Um, but I feel like things are feeling more open and expansive. And we are in Sagittarius season after all, which is what that's all about. It's about the external expression. And I always joke that it is your reward for making it through Scorpio season because you then get to travel and expand and explore and adventure. And honestly, that's one of the things that makes me really magnetic. I have a very strong Sag signature in my chart. I have a ninth house stellium, I have a Venus in Sagittarius. So I can just go out into the world and my blessings find me, right? And that is, I feel like, a very underutilized manifestation technique and tactic. These days I feel it's like, oh right, we forgot that we have to go out into the world and make it happen. But really, you don't have to make it happen. You just let the universe collide you with things. And it's in the new experience and in the activation of exploring the new that you allow yourself to calibrate, which really is what this month is about. It's just like a big, because when it's like a big, like you're doing the internal catch up to like where your external version of yourself lies and exists, if that makes sense. And I feel like that's kind of what this November was for me. And I always go through things first. And it really is, it's like you're shown the gaps between the version of you that you're currently embodying and the future version of yourself. And that gap is always in your nervous system and it's always in your identity. And so when I was like tuning in to the astrology for this month, I was like, it feels really like we're getting excited to go bigger, right? It's like, it really feels like we're calibrating in the cycle of change. And this is one of the things that I teach my students because Sagittarius is a time, is a season when we want to stretch and broaden our horizons. It's very like fool card in astrology. It's like you want to do something new, and then your subconscious is immediately on high alert, looking for a new, unfamiliar experience, right? Because your body and your ego is built through experience, and so the ways in which um, to calibrate to something new is through new experiences. That's why I'm like, you don't have to focus on doing the healing work. Like the healing work will find you when you just focus on giving your body new experiences and interrupting the subconscious patternings and programming that are at play. And so I always just expect my ego to surface when change is afoot, right? Because your subconscious is immediately on high alert for the unfamiliar, right? So you start to move and you start to take action, and again, your ego is just coming through in stories of excuses, of stories of lack, of limitations, why you can't do something. You should just stay home. You don't need to go to that event. There's nothing for you there. Why do you need to get ready right now? Like, why do you got to do that? Why do you got to leave the house? Who do you think you are? That's not realistic. Like whatever stories that subconsciously surface, right? That is your ego starting to doubt you, which causes, and what I've always want to tell people is like that those stories come from dysregulation, right? Those stories are not the truth of who you are. That's like the monkey mind trying to control you to keep you safe. Like the ego has a very important role to keep you in front of, to keep you from jumping in front of cars, right? But when you are also wanting to consciously expand, it can really keep you from stretching your edges. Because so, and I say too, like so many times, what people think is actually alignment is actually just the ego's comfort zone, right? It's like, well, I'm in flow and da 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 da. And it's like, actually, like alignment can be wildly uncomfortable most of the time because you're having to listen to your soul, and your soul and your ego are not always in congruence, right? And so when you start, your ego will start to doubt. and your mindset starts to plummet, and you start to spiral out internally, right? Because your ego knows it's about to be expunged, right? It is about to be confronted. And so your shadows start pressing up against your ego, and you're in conflict, right? And so then what happens is you withdraw from giving your full effort. But what happens is when this is why support is so powerful, right? Because when you can then plug in and double down with safety, with groundedness, without shrinking, right? Then this is where the transformation happens. This is when the magic lands, right? Because it's when you start to pull out, and it's when you start to shrink, and when you start to withdraw, right? Giving full effort, then your ego starts to settle down, right? And so you're not as up against as much internal resistance. Right. And so it's really important when your stories and your ego and sometimes your emotions get really loud and really crazy, that is a time to double down and lean in. Right. And like, I'll just say, like, I was, um, here's the thing too. Like, I also just want to say, because sometimes like this is the whole point of like setting big goals, right? Because when you set big goals, it's like you actually just have to become someone new. But that also means that your ego and your comfort zone has to die. And so like I took some actions. I took some actions on some things that were moving the needle forward in my life on Friday. And then on Saturday, I'm recording this on a Sunday. And then on Saturday, what happens is all sorts of subconscious ish surfaced, right? Like all sorts of crazy stories. And this is when it's so funny, like, because you don't consciously remember so many things, but your body and your subconscious holds memory and stores everything. And so it's like, too, like, I had a dream about a person like I went to high school with, and I was like, that's so bizarre, right? But it's like it's tied into a story, into a pattern that like my like body still held on to, right? And so I was like, okay, like, and I'm talking like there was like crazy, crazy, crazy ego stories were surfacing yesterday. And I just had to continue to move through it. Like I just had to take the action and just continue to move and continue to go and just let the emotions come up as they surfaced, right? But it's like, I'm like, "Yo, you're not in charge of me anymore," right? Like, "Thank you for keeping me safe. Thank you for keeping me alive. Thank you for getting me here, but you're not in charge anymore, bro. Like, back off," right? And so you have to just, like, be grounded enough, and this is when your capacity expands, right? To be grounded enough to hold the duality and the contrast of the contraction and the expansion at the same time, right? Your nervous system is like a balloon, right? And so when you can hold the contraction of your subconscious like surfacing to want you to shrink, to play small, to hold your tongue, to not have boundaries, to people please, to self abandon, to not go for the thing, to not take the action, that's when you actually just have to hold the contrast and that internal chaos that comes up when change is afoot and continue to move forward. Right, like, "Okay, ego, I see you." Which is why, like, I understand how people, like, just sometimes raw dog life, like, not knowing how much their ego keeps them from telling them, like I'm like, "That's a good ego story." Like, when I work with people and they're like, "That's my ego," and I'm like, "Yeah, dude." Like, your ego is a dick. Like, anytime you have, like, that inner narrative that sounds like such a dick or is harsh, it's like your soul is the first voice, the ego is the second voice. And so anytime it's like your ego is like telling you have like that voice in your head that like comes in and wants to be the judge and jury and the verdict all at the same time, like that's the ego. Anytime you're in judgment, anytime you're in lack, anytime you're in restriction, anytime you're in contraction, anytime you're trying to control, anytime you're trying to manipulate, those are all patterns of the ego. And so your ego has to die to be reborn in order to evolve, right? And so, being really present in all of the ways that your subconscious surfaces, your pattern surfaces, those sabotage tendency surfaces to immediately pattern interrupt is so powerful. And sometimes it's even just doing something like so 180, like out of the blue to shift the energy, right? Because really what you're wanting to do is just shift your nervous system state. Because as soon as you shift your nervous system state, then your subconscious stops, right? It stops. And that doesn't mean to not continue to take action. You do, but like your focus should then just be on regulating. And so if you want to learn how to deeper do this, like definitely jump into my world and jump into my work. But I preface all of that and I still say all of that because that's a big theme for December, right? Because when you set your sights on something, when you decide to go bigger, when you decide to be bolder and you go and you live your life and you live your life out loud, Sagittarius is very unabashed, it is very unfiltered, it is very unapologetic in claiming who it is and what it wants, right? Again, this is what makes me very magnetic. Um, but what happens is you start to go bigger and then you have to anticipate and expect that subconscious to surface, right? And what's so interesting about this month is we have all of these personal planets going through Sagittarius, and they will all square Saturn and Neptune, finishing out their cycles in Pisces. And so we will have the sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars all square, confirmation burp, all square Saturn and Neptune and Pisces. What is Saturn and Neptune and Pisces? This is your karma. This is your past. This is your subconscious. Pisces is where things go to die to be reborn. This is your ancestral patterning, right? Like this is your karma. This is your fate. This is your destiny. And so we have all of the Sag energy wanting to go bigger and go bolder and like do the damn thing in direct contrast in a square with Saturn and Neptune, the like two of the heavy hitters of the zodiac in Pisces at the last degrees of Pisces, finishing out their tumultuous journey through Pisces, being like, no, being like dissolving all of that shit, surfacing all of the wounding, surfacing all the patterning, surfacing all the subconscious, all of the shadows, all of the stories. And so it's like you're being, which again is a good thing. Like you want these subconscious stories and patterns and programs and beliefs to surface because they're literally the thing that you're holding within your body that is keeping you from naturally aligning with what you want. But just expect the friction, right? And when you can expect the friction, it is so much easier to navigate. And like the example that I'm being shown to share is just like travel, right? Sagittarius rules travel. I like all month, this is going to be like the worst month of travel. We've already seen this with the Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, how it affected travel, right? It's like you want to go travel. You want to go to that foreign destination, right? You want to go to Bora Bora. And then Saturn and Neptune and Pisces are just like flights delayed, flights canceled. Like there's a snowstorm, there's weather, there's a rainstorm, right? And so that plane and that plan is grounded, right? Is it for your benefit? Yeah, because it's probably not safe for you to take that flight, but it can really just be disruptive and really like dissolve your plans, right? And so there's like this energy of like you're wanting to go big and you're wanting to go for it, but then the astrology is like, well, we need to make sure that you're aligned and ready for it so that you can arrive safely to your destination. And so there's this big kind of like internal calibration that needs to be happening because there's a gap, an embodied gap between the version that you are now and the version of you who holds your desires, right? Which is the whole point of your desires. Your desires are divine because they're supporting you and meaning the alignment of the thing. Your desires are already given before you even asked. God has already given it to you. So, right, they're really like held in like escrow, or they're held in the quantum space in your energetic vault, waiting for you to align with it, right? And so when you are like, okay, I want that black G-Wagon, which is what I'm manifesting, right? It's like, well, you got it. The whole point is to become the version of you who has the G-Wagon, right? And so then you have to dissolve that gap and that friction between you and that person who has it. Because there's a gap, because if there wasn't, you would already be that person, right? You would already have it. And so don't make the focus on having the black G-Wagon. Of course, you can visualize it and tap into it, but can you feel the version of you who has the black G-Wagon like viscerally in your body? right? And spend time hanging out with her. Move how she would move. Think how she would think, right? Behave how she would behave. And that's how you bridge that gap and close that gap a lot quicker, right? But you have to be able to feel it in your body, which is why clearing out your body and moving through your emotions, that will surface when you start to break your current glass ceiling, right? Your past self will try to do everything to keep it alive, right? Your ego will do anything to claw and keep it alive. That is why Scorpios can be the biggest kings and queens of self-sabotage, because they are so survivalistic and emotionally impulsive, right? Because they hold and cling on to things. It's your survival self. It's who you needed to be to survive when you were younger. But you've already lived that life. You've already played out your karma. And now you're going into a future that doesn't have karma. You're going into a future that is full of bliss and abundance and blessings and bigness and experience and rich with luxury and love. But that version of you holds bigger energy, which means you can't be in a contracted vessel, which means you can't be holding yourself back, which means you can't have these stories of fear, of lack, of limitation, and those patterns of control from your ego, right? And so there's some sort of like disruption that needs to happen. That can be an external event, that can be an internal event, right? Women who lead themselves create their own friction. Women who take the reins of control of their lives and guide it forward, who are soul led, what makes you different is that you initiate your own friction. You don't wait for the universe. You don't wait for the astrology to move you, right? And so right now is the opportunity for you to go bigger and to go bolder and to step into that higher octave version of yourself. And I'm being called, they're like directing my head to the cards because I did pull some cards. What I will say is that the tower flew out immediately when I was tapping into the energy for this month. The tower is a shakeup, right? It is something. I happen to like the tower because I'm like, okay, like if something's not in alignment, like show me what's out of alignment, like shake it up, right? So something has to be shaken out. Like this can feel like the rug's getting pulled out from under you. This can feel like an external event. This can be like a breakup. This can be a tough conversation. This can be a move. Sometimes, and I'm always called to say this, sometimes what is the tower card is your manifestation, right? It's like when it's like you're all cool, calm, and collected, and then you go on a date with a guy you really like, and it surfaces your shit, right? That can be the tower. And it's so interesting because I watched it's not a movie, it's a show. I watched a show. This is the Seven of Swords, and the Seven of Swords to me is always inner sabotage. So it's like there is something there, your inner saboteur wants to come in, right? Which is the ego's control. And we have it here with the moon card. And so there's some sort of like internal saboteur that is going to be surfacing, which is your ego, because your ego is trying to keep you to survive. And so your survival self really has got to kick rocks. And like this, I watched this show with Amanda Seyfried. It's a really good show. It is kind of dark, but it's a really good show. It's like a cop show, like a thriller detective-y show, which I like from time to time. And in the show, spoiler alert, but like she self-sabotages something. And I just like had to like grieve it, like because I like grieved it as if it was myself doing it, because it's like I have been there and I have done that. And it's like it's heartbreaking. And it's like she did something that she could never take back, right? And it's like, and it was because she was reacting from her survival self, right? And from her past. And she made an impulsive split-second decision that cost her something really, really good that happened in her life. And I have like full body chills as I say that. And I was just like, man, like I know what that fucking feels like. Right? And it's like when you have something that's good in your life and you sabotage it. And it's like I just had to and it was probably, I was probably drawn to watch that so that I could clear that from my body and my field, right? And really witness and see how that plays out. But like it's giving this energy, right? It's like the past is going, like your survival self is going to come in and try and control things and try to manipulate you out of taking action, from doing something that is good for you, that is going to expand you, that is going to be super powerful, and you just like cannot let yourself sabotage it, right? And the way through it is through your connections and through taking action and staying grounded and focused on the task at hand, right? And it's interesting too because this energy is like so internal calibration. We have the King of Cups, which is about being heart opened leader, leading yourself. Can you lead your future self? Can you lead former versions of yourself to a transformation? We have the two of Pentacles to me, which is always internal calibration. We have the Fool, so like new energy. Again, Sagittarius, like full energy. Then we have the Four of Swords, which is again like an internal rest, integration, calibration energy. Then we have the Ten of Wands. It's like the end of like the old version of yourself. With the Magician, meaning you are in control, you are the authority, you are the one creating your life. With the card of manifestation, the World card, this also is very Sagittarius energy. It's like things coming full circle, things coming to a close, things coming to completion, things coming to fruition. And it's on the other side of you breaking through those survival patterns and those mechanisms of self-sabotage. And I really think it's this like inner self-sabotage energy is going to be coming through in like the first week of the month, because it came out first one in the tarot, right? Tarot is a story of a time and how things unfold. But we also have this full moon in Gemini on December 4th. And what's so interesting about this full moon, it is square the nodes of fate. Exactly. So this full moon is at 13 degrees of Gemini. The nodes are at 13 degrees of Virgo and Pisces. And so the ruler of both the full moon and the south node is Mercury. Mercury is in its post retrograde shadow in Scorpio. So are you guys staying with me here? So what this means, those internal beliefs, those internal stories, those internal programs, those ego stories of control, of self-sabotage, of don't do that thing. Who do you think you are? Stay small, shrink, settle. Don't make a big bold move. Like all of these egoic stories that surface when change is afoot is going to come up, and it just needs to be surrendered. So especially this week, this first week of December, really stay present to your mind's stories, because Mercury is your mind. And the way out is through surrender. The way out is through the North Node, which is in Pisces. And not trying to control, not trying to grip, but surrendering the reins of control. So I'm talking whatever you used to do, you have to do the polar opposite. If what you used to do is like impulsively text someone, go take an action that's anything but doing that, right? Like go cannonball into a fucking pool, or cannonball your phone into a fucking pool to keep yourself from like doing the thing that you normally would do. Like I'm talking do a 180-degree shift. So like if you normally maybe not say something and hold your tongue, maybe you have to speak your fucking truth for fucking once, right? It's like whatever subconscious and survival program is surfacing, it's like you have to do the 180-degree pivot, right? The way out is always through the North Node of release, of surrender, of not controlling, of trusting, connecting to God. What would God do? What would God say? What would God have you do? And then do that, right? Not letting your ego control your circumstances and to dictate the things that you want, right? Because your mind never has the answers, right? Like your mind really isn't that fucking useful. Like it is when it comes to like comprehension and like retaining information and blah, 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 blah. But like your mind's not really in control. God, like if you just lived your life with like your higher soul, your oversoul in control, like you would have everything that you want. So that's really the work, right? The work is to get your subconscious, your shadows, your ego out of the way so that your soul self can come through. So it's like, what would your soul self do in this situation? What would God say? What would God do? Right? What would your higher self do? She wouldn't be fucking worried and reactive because she already has everything that she wants. She already has it all. What is she being reactive about? What does she have to fucking control? She's like a fucking goddess in the flesh, right? So it's like moving from that energy and not the survival self. It's really becoming your soul-led self. I actually dove deeper into this on my Substack today. It's like when you can clear out the emotions and the energetics from your subconscious body and you just literally get to be a divine channel. And you're always guided, you always have the answers, and you're always connected to your intuition. So you always just know what to do, right? It's just when our human self gets in the way because our soul doesn't have any stories of lack or limitation or limiting beliefs, right? Those were all just conditioned. And so this month is a really powerful start and new beginning to your future self when you can really close that gap. And the way that you close that gap is by giving yourself new experiences and taking new actions because again, it's not going to look for the healing. It's calibrating to your future self by moving from them and then letting everything that's not in alignment with that surface to be cleared. Because Saturn and Neptune, we're closing out like these massive cycles in Pisces, which I have deeper videos on my YouTube, but like we're closing out major karmic cycles the next 3 months, like major, major, major karmic cycles. And so this month is very important to calibrate to where you're going. And two, sometimes the way that you calibrate is the universe is going to gift you the thing, right? And then you're like, oh shit, I have to fucking hold this without sabotaging it, right? Which is why, like, again, support can be so helpful because you have a safe space for you to work out the subconscious and the shadows, right? And really allow yourself to calibrate your nervous system so that you can hold the friction, you can hold the contrast. And then, of course, we have this new moon in Sagittarius. I believe it's happening on the 19th of December. Oh, one more thing that I wanted to talk about was Neptune direct in Pisces, which is on the 10th, which kind of goes into that what I was talking about with Pisces being like it's at the end of the zodiac, right? Like Neptune is stationing direct at the 29th degree of Pisces. That is the last degree of the zodiac, right? Your old reality literally has to die this month. Like I can't be more like straightforward and blunt than that. Like your survival self has to die. Like it has to go. Whoever you have been since 2011, because that's when Neptune first entered Pisces, whatever lessons, whatever karma you had to clear, like it is the end of that. It is the end. Neptune is going to be at the final degree of Pisces from now until basically end of January. And so you're literally closing out this cycle from now until then. You always feel out of a planet station the week of its station. And so it's like literally teetotaling between the past and the future this month, which is why it's such an internally focused month to really get you in alignment with the Aries future, right? Saturn and Neptune are going to conjunct in Aries in February next year. And this is like the new beginning. This is the cosmic karmic reset, right? Aries is all about your identity. And so your identity that doesn't hold any karma is going to want to be anchored in by then. I'll just say that, right? So take the next few months really seriously. Like I'm being very, very diligent and intentional, right? Intentional is like intention. So it's like, where are you creating the tension, right? Like, are you creating the tension, the intention on who you want to be and where you're going, right? And it's really, we get an opportunity to really create that bigger and bolder version of ourselves with the new moon on the 19th. The thing about this energy is the ruler of that new moon is in square to Chiron. Jupiter is in Cancer and square to Chiron. So we had Jupiter in square to Chiron in October. So you can think back to what kind of surfaced around your identity, around your heart space in October. And then we will also have this same energy, Jupiter square Chiron again in July. Jupiter and Chiron will then be in Taurus and Leo, which will be really interesting. So take note of what's happening around like the 21st of this month, especially with that new moon, because this is like supporting your heart expansion, but also the expansion of your identity, healing your identity wounds. And so that new moon is a very powerful time to claim who you're going to be. Confirmation. So, really leading up to the new moon on the 19th, it's really calibrating to that future version of yourself. I said this on my Instagram. The end of the year is not the end of the zodiac year. So, um, really, like, we're closing out things like the astrology, the cosmic winter is from Capricorn season through Pisces season. The energetic restart is in Aries season. And in your own personal chart, like your energetic new year is when the sun crosses your ascendant. So, whatever your rising sign is, whatever your ascendant sign is, that is your karmic new year. That is your astrological new year. If you're a Sagittarius rising, your astrological new year is during Sag season, right? So, um, I just wanted to say that, like, just because we're wrapping up like the last month of the year, it really isn't the end of, the astrological year. It's not the end of the Chinese zodiac year. Like, it is, we're still in expansion mode, because it is still Sagittarius season through the 21st. 21st is when Capricorn season starts. So it's like that is like when the energy peaks is at the 21st, right? And then the sun rises. That's when I should say things get like the darkest, and then the sun rises again, which, fun fact, is why Jesus's birthday is on the 25th, right? Because the 21st is always the darkest day of the year. And then the sun has risen, right? That comes from the pagans. The sun has risen again on the 25th, right? That's when they can tell the sun started to rise higher again and that the sun was coming back. So the sun has risen. And so the Christians attached that day to, when they were trying to get all the pagans involved in Christianity, they attached Jesus' birthday to the day the sun has risen. They could tell based on like the horizon line, right? Because Western astrology is seasonal astrology. It's a journey of the light, the sun, through the ecliptic. Um, so I don't know, came through to say. That's why all of the work is following the light, and your light is your heart. So that's why all of the work is me just helping you, supporting you, opening your heart, cracking you open to more light, because light is the thing that we're here to really be channels for, right? Like our bodies are vessels for light. That's really what Earth is. Like Earth is a vessel for light, right? That's why Earth is so abundant and glorious and rich and beautiful, because she's a vessel for light, right? She allows the light to come in and allow it to grow and bear fruit. So that's really what we're doing as the cosmic bodies, is we're just being vessels for light. And when you're a vessel for light, when you can go put your fucking face in the sun and not be so fucking scared of the sun, right? The sun literally charges your mitochondria. Your mitochondria is the life force of your cell. So it's like, stop being so fucking scared of the sun. I'm sure if you're here and you're watching this, you're not scared of the sun. But I just like think it's so funny when people are scared of the sun. I'm like, when a dog isn't, the dog finds the fucking light, and then when the dog's hot, he goes into the shade. It's like, it's not that complicated. Like when your body knows when you've had too much sun, and then you can just go into the shade. It's like the sun is here to grow you. There's a reason they want you wearing fucking sunscreen all the time. There's a reason they want you wearing sunglasses. Don't get me wrong, I love sunglasses, but like, you bet your fucking ass my lights see the fucking sun, right? It's because it allows you to grow and to be birthed and to be a channel of the light. It directly connects you to God. The light is God, right? Like, all right, that tangent went somewhere, but like, allow the light to move through you. Allow more light to move through you, because that is love, that is abundance, that is blessings. And so when you can let your ego get out of the way, you literally just open yourself up to more love, to more light, to more abundance. So that is the work. That is the work, my friends. If you don't want to wait to embody more light, to welcome in more love, more abundance, and really have support anchoring in this future version of yourself, to really allow in more light, hello, inner to outer glow up, you can jump in and join my Cosmic Glow Up. We start now through the end of the year, supporting you and aligning with this higher version of yourself with customized, catered direction support. It's going to be so powerful. 30 days is you can transform in 30 fucking days, I promise. I've had a completely metamorphosis glow up in the last 30 days. Like I can just say that for fucking sure. So if you want to jump in and do that work with me, I'll post the link in the show notes. You can also plan and prepare for 2026. And get your readings now. Book a link for the 2026 transits. Set yourself up for success in the new year. Link for my readings are also in the show notes. And I'm also going to be launching Cosmic Icon, which is a 4-month container all about your divine feminine embodiment, getting your nervous system, your body, and your birth chart all in alignment so that you can be your hottest, happiest, most fulfilled, alive, and aligned self. So look out for that. That will be running January through April, really working with the astrology of next spring and winter, so that you can be aligned with your birth chart and your future self. So big month ahead. Go big, go bigger, and go have some fun. Bye, guys. See you on the next one.